players right now. I think it's already appealing for sweats. It's already appealing for casuals to learn PvP without consequences. And then if you have a season where you don't even need to get that many points, or like a daily win might give you like 3 or 4x the points of just like farming it, then I think that would be really good for Arena. So those are the things I would be looking forward to down the road. But otherwise, that's really all I have.
Well, if it's on the weekend timer, having like daily rewards and stuff like that might not be, but like maybe a first 3 wins of the Arena weekend or something.
Yeah,
I could see
I like
kind of balance it together.
Mm-hmm.
I spent like probably, and this is not an over exaggeration, I probably spent about 36 to 40 hours in the Arena over the weekend, between the 24-hour stream. Yeah, I mean, I was grinding it just nonstop. And a lot of the complaints kind of go back and forth. Like, yes, the PvE's in there, but I'm not sure if the Arena is meant to be a raw battleground of 3v3, then I understand not wanting the mobs in there. But if the Arena is meant to be a sort of like immediate one-off battle of what the actual gameplay in Dark and Darker is like, right? If it's meant to be a competitive Dark and Darker and PvP environment, then yeah, the mobs kind of got to stay, because that's exactly what it's like in Dark and Darker and most of the PvP fights. You have to opt in for the PvP versus the PvE and control it and maybe use it to your advantage. So like if it's trying to be competitive Dark and Darker, Arena format just based on what Dark and Darker is, then yeah, I think the mobs kind of got to stay. Yes, tune them down, adjust them, but removing them entirely is not the Dark and Darker experience that I've gone through, and it would be different than that current experience is. It would almost kind of train you for something that it isn't going to happen, Like most of the time, there's some kind of PvE involved. Even if you're like back clearing or rotating, like it's a different experience entirely. So like you could be an Arena master and then go into the actual game client of the regular extractor experience and then just get shit on because you've only been practicing against groups that have no PvE and they just run mobs at you, or you're not familiar with it. So yeah, I think that that's an interesting balance, but overall, I've been having so much fun. Like you said, it brings in a lot of new players that haven't been given the opportunity to PvP because they're scared of it. I have a lot of people in chat that were like, it's been really fun watching you, but I'm kind of terrified. I'm like, you have nothing to lose. You have actually nothing to lose. Right. And a lot of people are like, I won my first actual battle. Yeah, and it feels great. They're actually like, now I know what it's like. I know kind of what to do. I keep telling everybody, you panic when you get into a fight or somebody hits you in the back when you're PvEing. You get an arrow to the back of the head, you start freaking out. That freak out becomes less and less the more you get used to it. You start to get into go mode. You get better at every fight. Even if you don't win, you're getting better at every single engagement. So I think it helps out those players. And I've had that response from people who actually went through over the weekend and were like, I took your advice. I jumped in. I feel more confident in how to fight somebody, when to back off, because it's giving you that full experience. Sorry, totally I could keep going for days.
I think, and honestly, this is like a very constructive way to look at the Arena, is that I was talking to Lego about this. He was playing with some of his newbie friends who like really have no idea what they're doing. And going into the dungeon is like this very anxiety-inducing experience for them, because they're just like, it's high pressure. You lose, it takes a lot longer to get back into the action, especially with the best of 3 or best of 5 setting for the Arena. But going to the Arena, they just get like a little snapshot of the gameplay experience, and they can just get into the action right away. They don't have to worry about what they're losing. You can even loot some gear in there, and sometimes it's really good. So I think, like, genuinely, the most hardcore players probably look at the Arena as like, damn, I wish there was no mobs. But the more like, I don't even want to say casual, but just the less, everybody that's not like the super hardcore is like, man, Arena is actually really fun like this, because you just get a snapshot of what the game is like. Like you said, it's the refined, condensed experience of Dark and Darker. You go into a module, you have to think about the PvE, you have to control it, and you'll very quickly see who is more experienced with Arena by how they play the module. If you see people just beelining through PvE, and then they're like, I'm just gonna get in there and W key and swing at them, it's like, okay, maybe you kill one of them, now you got to train a PvE behind you, you're blocked and you're dead.
Right. Sometimes that wins the fight, however. Sometimes I've had wizards that have been aping in there and pulling everything in Viz, and now it's like yep, or Phantomize. Warlocks in there, obviously they have control dotting everything. But like I said, it's a back and forth. And also, as the gear gradients go up, obviously the PvE seems to be less of an issue. If you're going into the 125 plus fully juiced, 2 hitting the monsters versus going in normals and having to smack it 6 times. So that does create a different experience. but it was a ton of fun. Even playing like Cleric, like not having door roulette and just everybody running away and like limited space. I feel the power. You know, I get to fully embrace the PvP. I don't feel bad when I smash. Well, I do feel bad. I'll admit to it, but I feel less bad because when it's in the arena, it's like you sign the waiver, bitch.
Yeah,
I'm coming at you full force.
Right.
So like a couple of days ago, I had somebody come by and like complain that I was PvEing too much, and I had to explain like I PvE for your benefit, bitch. Like I do this because if I go full out, you don't want that, you know, teleports behind you, sort of shit. Nothing personal, kid. But yeah, in the arena, it was so much fun. Just absolutely blasting. I think it's take off the chains.
It's interesting how, as the arena progressed, the meta over the weekend, I saw more and more players like carefully taking out the PvE that's right around their spawn, and then taking some time to loot and like checking a couple chests, especially in the lower gear brackets.
Oh yeah.
If you're fully minted, you probably don't give a shit about any of the gear in there. But if you're sub 25 or 125, sometimes you can get something. Yeah.
Right.
And you carry it to the next round. So you can, you could loot a purple weapon out of a chest after you went in with a green weapon, and it just completely changes the swing.
And sometimes it's worth sacrificing a round for that. Like if you can split off and one of your guys is distracting them, and all of a sudden you find a purple fucking longbow for your ranger. Now it's the next 3 rounds are going to be a sweep. Well, maybe, but you see the ideas are like your power gradient. It might be worth sacrificing it for a round. But that's also one of the reasons I like, again, the normal version of the arena. In the sweat version, like you said, there's like no PvE, there's no looting. It is more PvP focused, but I like that little gameplay snippet. And if that's what they're going for, is giving you a gameplay snippet, they've done a great job.
I see a world where if Dark and Darker has enough player number, like a high enough number of players online, we have the dungeon experience, we have the PvE arena, and we have the strictly PvP arena. If there's enough,
just for all the
if
sweats,
there's enough people playing, because I know for a fact that there's plenty of people who just want my ranked ladder where I just queue and we go and fight people, and that's it. There's no chests, there's no PvE,
no
that's
looting.
It. We just fight, and I get that. Like I want that too, but I also like the PvE experience. It's a lot of fun. So
yeah, I think
we'll see.
They need to. If they want to keep the PvE, and I think Emboss makes a really compelling argument, because you are getting a better snapshot of the actual game when you're playing in that mode. However, the sub bosses pose a problem, especially
lock them in spawn. Just lock them in spawn.
Unless
the shielded berserker does not fit.
The shielder does not fit through the door, and there are bugs. So several bosses will just stand there in the door. Then you have to go up, get them to aggro. And yes,
that's a separate problem. But
you can deal with that for sure. But still, the amount of RNG there, if you get stuck in that same spawn, and to be fair, I don't think I ever got stuck in the same spawn box back to back twice. So maybe they already have
it's cycled.
It rotates. You never do it.
I think it's guaranteed rotating.
But just, I mean, if you lose the RNG battle and you end up next to the shielder 3 out of 4 times, or 3 out of 5, that poses a problem, a pretty significant one. So I think there is a decent argument to take at least the sub bosses out and maybe consider reducing mob density just a little bit, or randomizing it. That would be kind of nice. And we've all talked about that for the actual dungeon experience as well. But yeah, man, I couldn't believe how much I truly enjoyed playing that. It taught me more about pocket healing Cleric, which I played Cleric for close to 2,000, maybe 2,500 hours at this point. And I've always played kind of a hybrid. I've never just really committed to the full pocket healing role. Part of it's because, like Emboss, I play a lot solo, play with randoms now that we have the autofill, and play with new players. So I end up playing frontline. So I never build my kits for pure knowledge stacking, 10 spell, magic heal. I ran probably 95 arena matches, and 94 of them I was pocket healer Cleric guy. And I learned more about how to freaking play Cleric, what I now feel is the best way, in the last 48 hours than I've in 2 years. It was the most fun I've ever had, was just playing pure pocket heal, firing spells non-stop in 10 spell format. Like I don't even want Judgment anymore. I don't want to play with Judgment. I don't want Smite. I just want 10 spell Cleric, and that's all I want to do. It was the most fun I've had playing the game, like hands down, since playtest 2.
Well, that's the
Wild.
that's the so one thing to know is that at Iron Mace there are a handful of people who are multi-glad in WoW Arena. I'm not multi-glad, but I'm very close to it. I've had a lot of experience with Arena. SDF
us,
loves WoW.
For us
What's up?
non-WoW people, what's multi-glad mean?
It
It's the
just means
highest rank.
it just means like you were literally just the shit. You were just so fucking good at Arena, like it was ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
Arena, I think Gladiator was like top 200 if I remember correctly. I can't remember.
Jeez.
It depended
Yeah,
on
I
the
think it changes on
server.
the season.
Yeah, it depended on the server group you were in and what the percentage. It's sort of like Challenger in League. It's the best way to
Okay, yeah,
compare
that's
it. So,
elite status.
SDF loves WoW Arena, so there is some inspiration drawn from there. And I think when you put the Dark and Darker format, the formula of Dark and Darker into that, you like you said, you get this experience where you're playing 10 spell and you're firing off spells and you're just constantly watching everything and you're like really getting into this like support mindset. And I think in the dungeon, because of the way the dungeons work, the hardcore support cleric is less appealing to most players.
Oh,
But in
yeah, for
Arena,
sure.
that's a completely different story, especially because you get all your spells back in between rounds. You don't have to rest.
Right.
I messed around with it a little bit. 95% of the time, I was the front line plus spells, but I did a couple of matches, as you were saying, with the full knowledge and will builds, and they are a lot of fun. I never went without judgment, but between the coupling of when I was playing with Katie, she's running Tangle Thread Trousers, and she was on her Bard. Anytime something would smack her, they get slowed. The judgment 50% slow, plus the 30 move speed hit from hitting her, like. They were pretty much rooted in place. They were free. Anything that touched Katie died, and it was a really fun setup to run.
Wait, is that a minor
and also
artifact
sniping
that she has?
Yeah, the Tangle Thread Trousers she got from the giant ice spider back when they were 100% drop rate. She found it in Inferno. It's a 5% slow anytime you strike her.
Oh,
So anytime you hit, it's a 5% move speed slow. It's very nice.
They're very good. Very strong minor artifact.
Woo!
Yeah, so it was one pack was saying he lost 30 move speed, which seems to be way more. So I'm not sure if it's actually functioning as intended. Might have to take a look. But the effect of it, coupled with the judgment and everything, she's very slippery. We went like 41 wins and 1 loss or something. But I think a lot of people.
And that was playing over 125.
No, never over 125. I don't think I did a single game over 125, to be honest.
Yeah, that's where I spent my time too. It was 124 Arena. That was the best.
Yeah,
that's where you get the most. That's where you get the most balanced experience of Dark and Darker, because
no one shot
until we start going into brackets where it's like I think the 299 bracket honestly could come back for Arena, because that's like where I feel like you can get as close to having a really powerful kit that like sort of gives you a lot of strength in a couple of particular areas. But once you go over 299, you start getting into like the 350, 400, 500 gear score bracket. That's where I think the game kind of starts to fall apart, because you have super soldier builds and everybody's just like got everything. You're not sacrificing anything.
Demon lock aping into you with
you
just
overstated to fuck.
Yeah, but that's cool too. When everybody reaches like the limit of their potential, it opens up like the true like showcase of what HR feels like a lot of the time. I almost feel like you guys could do brackets like you could do under 125. Well, like you don't even need under 25. I don't even know if that's an arena bracket, but you do under 125.
Oh, it is. It's great.
It's a fun one.
Like later in the season, you could be like, oh, special event, 299 plus arena. And so now it's like only bangers, and that gives you access to like the highest tiers of loot. You could lift the unique thing. Now you have artifacts in there. Like it could get pretty insane. I think that'd be fun. Or like maybe in like the final week of wipe, you do anything goes arena.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas floating around for the arena. Like I said, this is just the first implementation of it, but I've mentioned to you guys a couple of times like things I think about, because I do marketing and socials at Iron Mace. For people who don't know, I do run the Twitter account. So I have some people asking, because One Peg said that Soma runs it, but I mostly work on that kind of stuff. I do like the socials, the marketing. I was part of the Twitch drops with Soma. We worked with a partner to get all that stuff done. not going to go too much into detail on that, but I also, one of the reasons that STF wanted me to join the company is because of my experience with esports and like playing a lot of different games at a really high level. He mentioned that he wanted me to help design parts of the arena. So the first initial like version of the arena that we got was like designed quite a while back. It just didn't get implemented for a long time because of technical issues and development time and just overhead issues and all that. So in the next like 2 to 3 months, there's a good chance that there will be a lot of development done on Arena, and we could see several different kinds of game modes for Arena. There's a lot of ideas floating around that could potentially get implemented. Nothing's final, but like I talked about, maybe we could add things like traps that you can activate that will, deter other players, change the way some of the modules are laid out, or maybe even make them like two floors stacked on top of each other. Like right now we have quad elevator is the only really like 2 floor, but I think having maps that have a lot of verticality where you can get up and down could be really interesting. So what we have right now is just like a fun way for people to get in and try the concept of the arena, but it's possible that there will be new versions of it. It's possible that we will keep this version and add more versions. It's possible that we'll have those crazy brackets. We might even have gear that you can get just specifically for arena and build crazy ass kits, and everybody will be able to get it. Who knows? I'm glad that everybody's really liking this version. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm glad that everybody's liking this version, but it's not final.
There's even the potential, like you've discussed, WoW arenas. WoW offers gladiator gear, specific gear for PvP from the arena, for the arena, by the arena. We could get a new arena vendor with tokens that you can spend for each win to maybe buy consumables, maybe even things like Troll's Blood. So you could even get like something for a specific arena Troll's Blood even.
That's a really good idea.
So,
like
there's a potential for like a reward specific to grinding for the arena.
Yeah, with like a catch-up cap, so that just like WoW Arena, where if you're playing early in the season,
first 3 wins,
your gear ahead of everybody else. But if you're playing late into the season, you get more points for your early wins, so that you can catch up with the people who already have a full set of arena gear. Because if anybody who's watching this who's ever played WoW Arena, if you play like 4 weeks into the season, people already have like a 2-piece or a 3-piece bonus for their set in arena, and like there's a really big difference in power, especially after they changed the way PvE and PvP gear worked in arena. So
I think they normalized a lot of that.
They did, but there was a point in time where like if you were in full PvE gear and you went and joined arena and they were in like 3/5 of their gear was PvP.
Yeah, the resilience stat, which is just for PvP, was added and everything got broken. Now I think it's actually a scaling based on item level. So like it's not like the gear stats don't change. It's like, oh, you're at 500 item level, you're 5% stronger than a base kit. So they changed it so the stats don't even matter on your gear. But then there's always like those trinkets that used to break the game. Sorry, I remember like there was a tank trinket that could be used in arena that completely flipped it upside down, and tanks were unkillable for like 3 weeks while they tried to figure out how to nerf the shit out of it without making
played against triple blood DK all the time. Yeah, it was obnoxious.
It was fun stuff. But yeah, I think the concepts and overlap definitely could see some really good use in the arena for getting, like you said, bringing players in, getting players up to speed. And I'm excited. It's just there's so much more that can be done than just like we're talking about the arena itself. You've got the leaderboards, rewards, everything.
Cosmetics, I think, is big.
Cosmetics,
we want spectator tools too. And SDF already, I can talk about this because SDF already mentioned it. He wants to run. We've talked about doing a tournament. We want to do more than one. We're thinking about like doing a small invitational where it's like just an exhibition match just for fun, and that there might be a prize for it, but we haven't figured that out yet. And then do like a really big invitational. One of the things I talked about when I first joined Iron Mace, and I was really glad to hear that SDF completely agreed with me on this, was that you can't force esports. A lot of games make the mistake of designing themselves from the ground up as an esports game. And a lot of those games fail because it's just forced. Like players will play it, they'll go, "This game's fun," but I'm not feeling the like competitive drive. Dark and Darker is very fun to watch. It's really enjoyable to watch fights happen. And I think with spectator tools, that could be improved even more if you can get a bird's eye view of a fight and quickly switch between people's perspectives and actually see what's happening in real time without like death cam lag. I think the spectatorship for Dark and Darker is really good, but whether or not it's esports viable is really up to the community. So in the future, if the design of the arena is going to support things like tournaments where people can run community events and do in-game tournaments where you're playing against 16 other teams for rewards, if people are that interested in it and it's actually like drawing a competitive interest, then maybe we'll go down that route. But I was glad to hear that SDF agrees that like we're not going to force. We're gonna just throw a bunch of money at it and be like, esports, we're fucking esports now. Who cares about the dungeon? Watch the arena.
Well, I wanted to tack onto that with the spectating stuff. A lot of people are regarding it as just an arena thing. I would like to see spectating added to everything, but obviously, just like how Deadlock does it, if like I fucking pull up my friends list, Ken's in a game, it's been 7 minutes into the game, I queue in to spectate his game, I get a 2-minute earlier rewinded play, where I'm locked
League
out.
does the same thing.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool to also extend it to like a high roller match, like so I could even watch my friends' matches. Because like you said, one of the things that I really enjoy doing was going through and just throwing myself onto a spike trap at the start and spectating people. Like casting out their matches as they go. It was actually something that was requested a lot of the time by chat, just be like, hey, I'm gonna eat, so I'm gonna cast a couple of games. Like, yeah, I was like, okay, don't sound too excited, guys. Like, I play video. Come on, all right. But it went over really well with the
stupid Cleric.
Oh yeah, it's also when you go through the ice caves and you find a squad of trio Timmies that are like, we are loving this game. What's this Yeti do? And then it's all fucking over in a matter of 4 seconds.
They're just
like
fucking
that
bodies flying.
Oh yeah, they're getting scooped up and just thrown around like ragdoll. Oh, it's just absolutely.
Did you see when
joy?
Did you see when the Yeti first came out? There was the teleport glitch with the Yeti. It would just fucking vanish, like instant transmission. Fucking thing would pop up behind you like Goku. I remember seeing that happen with the zombies leech. Oh, I had a clip. I gotta find it somewhere. I'll have to show it to you guys. It's so goddamn funny. I was playing with Hippo, and he was like fighting it. It just teleported behind him and just scooped him into the air and killed him. It was so goddamn funny. Yeah, watching Timmy's die to the Yetis is fucking hilarious.
Josh, you mentioned that you did not spend a lot of time in the arena, and you threw out that was because you don't do a lot of trios. How many matches do you think you ran? Guesstimate. Less than 10? Less than 20?
I'd say roughly exactly 3. I won 3 matches, played 3 matches. I have a 100% win rate. Done. 1 per day.
Did you go with randoms, or did you have
just randoms?
Team? Okay. And you do under 25, 124, or whatever the hell you wanted?
I did 124s. I did 124 twice on Wizard and like once on Barbarian.
So
you played by yourself with randoms?
Mm-hmm. In arenas you're talking about? Sorry, I got a phone call from the mother.
Yeah. Yep. Still on arenas. Odin, I'm curious how many other people that main solo, like I'd love to be into the analytics on this part. How many people that primarily play solo jumped into the arena and then said after a few games, like, Josh, you know what? It was fine, but I want to go back to playing solo in the dungeon, versus the people that got in there and really started to enjoy the team play of the arena, the 3-stack. Because I thought that was one of the best things that you guys did, is you did not make it solos. You did not make a duo. Keep it trios. Never bring in duos or solos to arena is my maybe hot take. I don't think it has any place. But
no,
I agree.
There's a world where maybe duos happens, but
yeah, I agree too.
But
we don't need a solos arena.
Yeah.
Also, I think that the trios arena is a different beast because you're stepping into a 3v3, you see the enemy team, there's a limited amount of monsters between you. Whereas if I go like let's say last night when I went to Trios Ruins, like almost immediately that your team is going to die the second another squad pushes you. Whereas arena, like, okay, we're all there, we're going to be fighting, like we're all together, they're there. But like when you're doing random trios, these dudes are like looting chests, or they didn't bring any heals, or they're just like wandering around, and like you're like, the second another squad shows up, or like I hear music or buffing at the door, I'm like,
scatter.
This squad is dead, dude. There's no front line, no one cares, like it's just over. And so that was a cool part about arena. But yeah, I think the majority of the player base probably enjoyed many aspects of the arena, and they're happy to see what it evolves into. But for me, like, I like to loot. And I also like the rattiness of the non-arena. I need space on
Right.
almost all my characters and all my builds. I need to be able to close doors. I have to be able to peel. I need to like be able to climb stuff. And so I like the real game.
Yep.
But,
And that
Like,
is why I hope, sorry, Odin, but real quick, I'm going to beat this dead horse for a while. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of arguments against this, but I am of the opinion that the second you allow the arena to become decoupled from the primary game, negative things will happen. It maybe not short term, but long term. I hope Iron Mace finds a way to never just say, you know what, arena is so popular, we're going to cater to the crowd of people that just want to play the arena. We have a segment of very vocal people that just want to come in and do PvP. We're going to cater to them so that they don't even have to play the main game. I hope they never do that. I think that would be a long-term bad move, but curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
so as Josh was saying, I think there's, to answer your question, kind of, I think there's a direct correlation between the experience and skill level of the players and those who enjoyed queuing into solo arena. I think the more novice a player is, the more fun they have just queuing solos and just playing with other random people. I found that the people I was playing with in random solos, I queued for like an hour. I've just been super busy this weekend, so I really haven't had time to play arena, unfortunately. But I got about an hour and a half to play earlier, and I found that most of the people I was playing with were not that good, but they were all very friendly and they were all cool with making mistakes and they didn't care. They were just having fun. And I really love to see that. As far as the catering to the arena, I'd say that if the game has a big enough player base and there is a large enough subsection of the player base that says, I don't give a fuck about the dungeon, I just want to play arena, I don't see any problem with giving them what they want. Now, catering to them and prioritizing the design of the arena at the cost of the dungeon, definitely not. But if there's, like I said, if there's a big enough contingent of the player base that they just want to bang 24/7 and they don't give a shit about killing bosses or doing quests, let them. Dude, if the game is fun enough that it's going to keep them engaged and they're going to keep coming back season after season, and we can develop new and interesting ways to keep them engaged in it, then I don't see why we wouldn't do that. But like I said, not at the expense of the general experience. I think it needs to still be fleshed out. It still needs to be fleshed out more. We need the gathering hall, we need the tavern, we need the social spaces, we need guilds, we need houses, we need a lot of things that are going to make this feel like more of a congruent world. But
well, that's my
concern.
concern.
Don't know. I see arena being huge eventually, but I don't see it ever overtaking the dungeon.
And this is my
I know
concern,
exactly where you're coming from, Arcane. And I know exactly what you're going to rebuttal on the idea of like, no matter what is said or what is done, if there is any drop of effort required in making, the experience for them / catering / making that PvP only section of the game, even if you're like, no, it will take no development, it takes something. There's always a resource that's being moved over to cater to that group or subsection, and that therefore I feel like the dungeon loses out. No matter what, even if you're like, no development time was put into this. No, there was. Like, you took
and it's more than that. And it's even more than that. It, to me, just from what I've experienced in the last 48 hours, like the main game, the game that we all started playing, and the reason that this podcast exists for most of us, it's our favorite game of all time or damn close. It is my favorite game of all time. The dopamine I got in the last 48 hours, if it came to the point where, and the direction I think it should go, is ranked ladders, systems, whatever they build should only belong in the arena. There shouldn't really be any ranked AP grind, any of that stuff. I know they're already working on changing that for the normal dungeons. Like, that just doesn't seem to make sense for the normal dungeons when the arena exists. And once you put ranked systems and leaderboards on the arena, and given how much dopamine you get out of that, even if you say it started out with like 20% of the player base only wants to do arena, so we're going to cater, we're not going to take dev time away from the main game, we're going to prioritize that, but we are going to give those people that only want to go in PvP, we're going to give them what they want in the arena. The auxiliary effect is going to be over time that the people that are playing the normal game are going to go, man, I really like this normal game and I like fighting people. Maybe I should go over to the arena, and they're going to get hooked and they're going to like the ranked climb and they're going to migrate over, and slowly over time, maybe not even that slowly, it's going to bleed. It's going to bleed out your player base to the point where arena eclipses. It becomes the purpose of the game. 2 years from now, we could be sitting here going, remember when raiding the dungeons was the core part of the game? Yeah, that was a fun time. I can 100% see that happening.
I think that only happens if the dungeon doesn't evolve. If the dungeon experience stays the exact same as it is right now and arena becomes super killer, then that is a concern. But if the dungeon experience evolves and we get like randomized dungeons, we get way better like exploration mechanics, the dungeons are bigger and more in depth, there's more to do, the quest lines are more engaging, there's more involvement with the social aspects and the social space and guilds and houses, and all of that ties together into the dungeon, then I don't think that ever, because there's never a risk of that becoming a problem. Because when I look at a game, so again, if I draw a parallel to World of Warcraft, if you look at World of Warcraft, there was a season where I only played arena. I didn't touch the PvE at all, and I wasn't interested in it at all because I only cared about arena. Mm-hmm. But the difference between Dark and Darker and World of Warcraft is that there is no PvE, PvP dungeon extraction experience in that game. Mm-hmm. What Dark and Darker offers is extremely unique. Obviously, I understand it's not, Tarkov and other games did it before, but the Dark and Darker experience with how the gameplay works and how the RPG mechanics and everything work, it's just very unique. It's a very unique product. And if World of Warcraft had something similar to this, where there was an extraction PvE experience, I would have been playing that alongside the arena. But because it was only PvE, which I had gotten burnt out on from doing it for so goddamn long, and it was the same experience that it had always been, I only cared about arena that year. And then after that, I kind of stopped playing World of Warcraft. I think if the dungeon doesn't evolve and we never change it and it never grows, then yes, it's a concern. But that's not. I'll tell you right now, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
I liked listening to the original point by Arcane, and then the sort of response from Odin, because I agree. We've already seen changes in the dungeon that have evolved with the addition of the normals, and there's a lot for me in the idea of like the gear score brackets and how the dungeons evolved already to kind of keep up with that sort of thing. So I see Odin's point very evident already in how they've been handling, the dungeons with the runes and the crypts and updating goblin caves. So they're already evolving the dungeons constantly. So as long as the dungeons can keep evolving, plus, like I said before, I think that it's with the addition of the original normals queue and the under 25, the white-geared lobbies, that was a very different game, right? There's a very different game than what we're playing now, as opposed to what we used to play, where it was completely random in there. You could get fucking Timmy Slayer extraordinaires and 80% of the lobbies naked, but you got Orlanthe running around with a cinder. Right. It's a completely different gaming experience that we have now because they've been keeping up on the evolution of what the players like, what the gameplay loop is, most hitting those dopamine factors. That's why I like the normals loop. I like to go in there naked, find items, get that dopamine hit, take those items, power my character up, go bonk somebody out. Second hit, I keep going and going and going, go kill a boss, get some more loot. But I think that that's definitely a place that they have already taken it and will continue to do so. I got faith in Iron Mace, so haven't let me down yet.
And I didn't want that to come off as negative in any way, but this is because we have two great things. And again, I did not expect Arena to be as good as it is. And it's so good that I could see it potentially cannibalizing the other part of the game. So I just wanted to be on record as saying, I hope that the direction of the game continues down the path where those two things are linked. And I know there's going to be other people that have the opinion like, why does it matter if you have two good things? Give people the choice to choose between one of those good things. Don't force them to do both. My argument would be you never get forced into the arena. If you're here to play Dark and Darker, play the dungeons, and you will get PvE, PvP, and bosses and everything you want. Skip out of the arena. And if you only want the arena, you can skip the dungeons, but you get stuck at sub 25 Squire level with gray trash loot. If you want to play, if you want the privilege to play 124 and above, then you have to do something in the dungeon to earn that. I personally
Just a reminder,
like that idea.
When you queue for the dungeon, the Squire tells you, right now we are using gear mace matchmaking. That is not going to stay. Eventually you will just be queued into whoever is your rank.
I think that's a terrible thing, and I have a lot to say about that.
Oh, for arena? We're talking about arena?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
So
yeah, I think that's terrible.
That's fine.
I somewhat agree with you because
There's too many queues, dude.
Well, so the thing it always boils down to, does the player base support it? So the problem with designing a game, and it's like this is the issue with just any game on the market nowadays that has like multiple ways to play, is that you cannot predict whether or not you will have enough players to support a queue. And you can't, like, you have to design with so many different factors in mind. Like, okay, well, we could have two different versions of the arena. One has PvE and one has PvP only. And maybe we could have one version be gear-based brackets and the other version is just only rank-based brackets. Are there enough players to support that? No. Okay, well, we have to do away with one of them, which is the one that people would want less. It's like there's so many factors that go into it. But I wanted to take the opportunity, because you talk so much about the dungeon experience. I think the reason that they wanted to put just the gear bracketing in is it forces you to go into the dungeon to get your gear set to be competitive in the arena. You don't just sit in the arena forever, because otherwise you kind of handicap yourself by being stuck at, you have no quest done, so your Squire gear is shit, you can't craft, and whatever gear you're getting in the arena is shit that you're just picking up and hoping that you extract with, and you're going to get a set together way slower that way than if you didn't, or than if you went to the dungeon. So with that in mind, I wanted to ask Josh, who is, again, he's the biggest proponent of the dungeon, since he has the least amount of interest in the arena. Now that we've discussed like the issue of the arena cannibalizing the dungeon, what are some ways that you want to see the dungeon experience evolve in the next like 6 months? What are things you would like to see added that you think would really improve the experience overall and make people more excited to get into the dungeon?
I mean, this is the safe take, but I was going to add on, even if we didn't get here, that there's already so many things in the pipeline that I don't feel like the team at Iron Mace is what, like 100 people now?
Yeah, it's the amount of people that are developers is not, I think it's probably, you gotta think about the fact that we have marketing, we have people who are working with international teams, people who are working on the website overhead, like the back end stuff, the client end things. So, it's 100 people strong, but that doesn't mean they're all developers.
Right, but like in that sense, and I get to hear this a lot with the One Peg interviews, is that now you sort of have this development of SDF as like the PvP lead and the arena lead, and then you have Terrence as like the dungeon lead. And so with this like next 6 months, and what makes me really excited is that now you have unique monsters that appear that could have unique minor artifact drops. We eventually get socketing, we get another class, we probably get another map or additions to the maps we already have. And then I like what they said is the pillars of gameplay. So you have like the dungeon pillar, the PvE/EVP extraction, which will always be here and will continue to evolve. Then we have the arena pillar, which now will be like a branch onto that. Like you were saying, over the course of the season, you start to see better gear in there because people have better found in raid, they have better crafted gear. It evolves with the time-gated quest and crafting system, which I think is fantastic. It's so good for this game. And it makes the early wipe experience feel dramatically different than the middle and the end of the wipe. And then we're going to have the social aspect, like you talked about before, which I'm most excited for, where we have like guilds and player housing and guild versus guild combat. And the way that I see the arena, like arena is cool. It's not really for me, but I like the idea of the arena, and seeing the success of that 3v3 format to me means if we get a 5v5, 7v7, or a 10v10, that is going to be so awesome to watch. And maybe that's only one weekend out of the month, and the other 3 weekends are the 3v3 arena. But when Guild Wars comes, like that is going to be so hyped to watch some of the best players in the world, some of the best comps, the most interesting setups, the dumb ridiculous shit when you have 10 barbarians with round shields, W keying, or like 10
Phalanx form!
Ben Pavis!
apocalypse of fireballs, like all that stuff is going to be just so fucking cool. And the fact that they're open to these ideas, like for me, SDF and Terrence, like them butting heads is good. They take, like they're never mad at each other. They're both glad, they like it. Maybe like they realize they have to rein each other in a little bit. Whatever the case is,
They fight.
they
It's
fight,
good,
but
though.
it's good. Like it's good. And now that they've split, like that's really good as well, because now we're getting the best of many aspects of the game. So over the next 6 months, I want to, like, it's unoriginal, but I want to see more of the same. Like I like what we have, and each new thing is just like a positive addition. And them being open to feedback in today's gaming economy is like the coolest thing we've ever had, right?
Agreed.
Like we all thought like the unique monsters were really awesome, but it kind of sucks that you never see them. And so now they increase the
Still
spawn
haven't
rate.
seen one. Yeah, still
And,
Still haven't
they-
seen one.
Oh, it sucks to be you guys, but as a
Yeah.
I
warbone
swear to
killer and
God,
a
if I-
blood sap blade enjoyer. Anyway, like it's good that's increased. And I also always like just to sprinkle in more positivity, the faucet effect of early wipe, where they've reduced artifact drop chance to like 1.8%, and so you barely see any artifacts. Then as the wipe progresses, they increase the faucet. Like the system is just really good. It means that we're always gonna have people coming back to the wipe like Tarkov, and at end of wipe, everyone's just running like insane gear and throwing shit out the window, and it's like crafted nonsense, and it's insane. And so I think it's good. It's perfect. More of the same. And then when we get fishing, I've heard a lot of my chat talk about cooking, and now we have like muffins and pears. I know those are sellables, but like looking at Dark and Darker Mobile, they've got fishing and like auto sort and other features that Dark and Darker will get. And I know they're two separate entities, but you can take the best ideas of both because they're two different publishers, and you intermingle and you mix and match, and that's going to be really good for both games. So
Well said.
Very well said.
And Bus, would you like to follow up on that?
I have no idea.
He's like, I haven't heard a word Josh just
I'm
said.
looking at myself in the camera, and
I
I'm
just wanted
this
to.
far.
I just was lost in those goddamn glasses once again. It's not my
Ah.
fault.
No, I
have nothing.
I want to hear your take on the. I mean, so first of
On
all,
what? What's the main question you want?
well, I mean, just the evolution of the dungeon. Josh already brought up a lot of the things that we've talked about in the past, like guilds and social spaces and player housing and stuff. And like what are some things that you'd like to? What are some ways that you would like to see those things sort of intertwined with the dungeon?
Well, I think the gathering hall.
ways that you can improve the dungeon experience. Like, what is it that you think would do good that would just make you more excited to go into the dungeon?
It's silly, but the gathering hall having more aspects of socializing could really bring out a lot of players into the dungeon, even for silly shit like making a transmog set or a cosmetic set. And when I say that, I mean like the gathering hall being like a bigger focus. Like imagine queuing into the gathering hall, seeing people sitting at a weird tavern area. There's an arena area that you can go obviously, if you want a PvP, there's a small arena where you can actually fight people. I know it would be chaotic as fuck, but it'd be fun to just get some kind of damage numbers and see kind of interactions between abilities, as well as having a training dummy section, just so you can hit numbers on the same dummies, be like, oh, I got 114. But also, like, I want the idea of kind of how the arena functions, where you can bring in all of your minted bis. I want there to be that little arena section in the gathering hall where everybody can bring in all of their whatever the fuck. I want to see a full artifact maniac running through, shining with a golden light or something. Alternatively to that, like item wise, something to improve the dungeon's item hunt is I do want to see more of like mini set bonuses, like little PvE things, or even like small cosmetic buffs to items. Like if somebody's in a full purple set, you get like a small purpley glow, like just something stupid. I'm not saying that's any sort of an idea, but just the idea of a cosmetic buff. Like when you see a unique artifact weapon glowing a little bit more nicely, because the only reason I got attacked by a Xerxes near end of last wipe, and the only reason I knew it was a Xerxes is because the fucking line kept tracing me. So something that like more artifact like cosmetic effects on things. I don't even think there is one for like the Tangle Thread trousers or the Blood Sap blade. Yeah, so like something cool cosmetic wise.
Unique models eventually. I think there wasn't time to do it, but like. I like the idea, especially because, for example, the Heart of Darkness, the literal worst reward in the game by far has suddenly become one of the best rewards in the game because now it has a cool black aura around your character and it makes you look sick.
Still haven't
That's
seen that
so
in game.
good.
I see it at the table, but I've never
Tavern,
seen it in
yeah.
game yet.
It's subtle. It's subtle on purpose, just because when
Yeah.
experimenting with things that change the way your character appears in game, you have to constantly be thinking about the fact that this game is called Dark and Darker, and playing with light and shadow is part of the game experience. Fighting someone in the darkness, there is a you have to be willing to go and take the fight in there, and if you don't know what you're doing, you lose the fight. So if we start, one of the ideas that we thought about when we were talking months ago was like glowing eyes cosmetic. Super fucking cool idea. If you just like red glowing eyes, it would be so cool. But how do you put that into the game and make people want to wear it if they're playing rogue and they're using shadows to their advantage?
Pay to
some
lose,
peop-
baby. Pay
Exactly.
to lose.
Some
I just
people
have
might be
to-
okay with it, but some people would be like, why the fuck would I want glowing red eyes? It's going to give me away in the darkness.
I'm legitimately still confused over the concept of potions glowing. I just don't get it. I've never had a bottle of glowing liquid, but yeah.
Have you
it's
ever
just
had a
weird
bottle
that-
of liquid that heals your wounds?
Yeah,
or
what
gives you a
what
shield?
is this?
Yes, actually,
fuck do you
that's
mean?
called alcohol.
What are you talking about?
Literally, that's called alcohol. It heals your wounds, gives you
It's
super
a
strength,
Goddamn magical potion,
instant
Alex.
confidence. Like
right, well,
you're just
here's what
talking
we'll do.
about booze.
I'll stab you in the stomach. You drink a bottle of whiskey, and you let me know how fast that stab wound heals.
Probably faster than it would if I drank water.
Yes, but not faster than if you drank a health potion.
But yeah, I don't like the
Cheers.
glowing potions thing sitting on the inventory. I don't know. It was irking me way back in the playtest. I was like, so I'm in complete darkness, right? Yep. Why do I have a fucking potion liquid glowing? What is
Take
it?
it
Do they
off.
just all fluorescent? Is that how they are? I mean, like that's the lore. They're all made from some magical fungi that fucking glows. That's great, but yes.
Yeah, there
Potions
you go.
glow
You
way
answered
too
your own
much.
question. I don't know what you want.
God damn it, if I see that in the lore, I swear to God. A potion made from the finest fluorescent fungi. Fuck you.
One, please.
Damn it.
Like I will have many
Yes.
of those. How many
Yeah, I
does
want-
it take to get fucked up?
I in the idea of like the dungeon and the arena experience, I even could see a world where, like, again, I believe in the 10-year Dark and Darker experience. Having worked with the team for a while now, I can say safely that there's enough passion and drive there and enough interest from outside parties that I think the game can go the distance. And I can see us getting like one of the ideas I had for arena very early on was like, what if there are objectives in the arena? Or
Yeah,
instead of there being like instead of it just being a module where you have normal spawns, there's like a super buffed up wraith in the middle, and there's like a bunch of little mobs around it, and you have to kill the mobs to get access to the wraith, and whichever team kills the wraith wins. And you guys are fighting each other back and forth, but there's like respawn, or if both teams die, it ends in a draw. You have to kill the wraith in order to win the round.
now
Or there's like power ups that you can get from killing mobs around the room. You get speed or damage resistance or fucking chain lightning every time you swing your sword. Who knows?
yeah, for the fun aspects, I agree. But like from the arcane aspect, I understand we're at the same idea of like, is the arena meant to be a fun thing without an offshoot into the dungeon, or is it meant to complement the dungeon? Like I was saying earlier, like the snapshot with the PvE and everything. Right now, it's in a spot that I think it's a complementing. But I also would love to see it go into like a fun zone. And when when Josh was talking about like 10v10 battles and stuff, that'd be cool to have an objective game mode with those big battles. Like you can even have that guy not be the main focus, but you could have him drop a couple of purple weapons, and maybe those squad can grab those weapons and go through to win the actual PvP fight. Like make a focus that goes back and forth on them, and you'll have more of a fun dynamic.
Yeah, imagine
So like just focus on fun.
Imagine we get guild v guild. And it's 10v10 on ruins, and you guys are spawning at opposite corners. There's like special shrines that you can go and pick up and secure, and like the map will light up and let players know that there's something over there that's worth going. They're pushing over there. So maybe the shot caller is like, well, we're gonna send this many of our team over there to go do that, but the rest of us are gonna go do this thing because we're gonna try to sneak around the back and pick people off while they're going for the shrine. There's a lot of ways that you can evolve the like event experience. Whether or not those things become a static part of the game or they become like a weekend thing, who knows? But There's
Capture
just
the
so
flag.
yeah. This you could do fucking CTF. You can steal Gambit from Destiny and just put it into Dark and Darker, and it would work. There was a like forever ago talk about doing like a gauntlet where two teams are just racing to get to a boss to kill it first. And like you're just trying to fly through modules with a bunch of nightmare mobs and shit. There's like so many things that we can do that I don't ever see Arena destroying the dungeon experience.
I hope you're right, man. And I'm picking up what you're laying down, and I'm with you that I think Iron Mace is not going to intentionally let that happen. I just really, really hope that they don't bring out anytime soon. Don't release Arena side by side and put it in direct competition to the main game. I think the LTM weekend option is great. I know there's a small subset of people out there that are going to be like, well, I work weekends. Yep. Maybe we do a rotation thing.
Tuesday, Thursday night, and weekends.
And weekends, yeah.
There you go. But yeah, so the way that this, like your question as to on the dungeon side of things, what would I like to see over the next 6 months? I would echo everything Josh said, almost everything Alex said. The roadmap that they've laid out right now sounds fantastic. One of the other things that I would add on top of that is Arena now opens up the options for them to do even more. I think they complement each other so well that because it scratches the PvP itch, you can make larger, longer dungeon dives on the PvE, on the normal game side or the high roller game side. Maybe you can even start reducing queues more. There's so much more that you can now do with the main game, especially since you have the Expressman. And I'm pretty sure you guys are still working on adding in the matchmaking at least at the Crypts level. I mean, you hinted earlier that they may not do it at Inferno. I think that's a reasonable take. But
I don't know if that's the case, but that's my take. I don't think we should add it.
That's
for
fair,
Inferno.
and I would agree with that. But I'm
Wait,
just
I'm sorry.
envisioning. Go ahead.
I missed that part. So you're going to take Expressman out of the between Crypts and Inferno?
No.
No,
Doing
you're talking about
matchmaking
matchmaking.
New
Matchmaking
matchmaking.
Phil.
Phil. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
I'm just
Phil
starting
for
to
Crypts, but not for Inferno.
Right.
Yes, that would be my take too, or my preference. But man, being able to expand this game to feel just a little bit, not completely, but a little bit more MMO-ish, to where the raids, now that we have the 3-tier dungeon, the Expressman, potential matchmaking in between levels, you could really flesh out these maps to be something special and make it just feel like an amazing dungeon delving experience without having to worry as much about the PvP aspects, because the Arena compensates for that. I'm so stoked for the future of the game now that
Josh doesn't want to hear
it's
that.
crazy. It's crazy. Well,
I know Josh doesn't want to hear that because he likes his dungeon PvP, and I do too, to be fair.
Well, I'm not saying take it out. And here's the great thing. You could still have Goblin Caves be the 1v1 arena. You can make some of these 3-tier dungeons shorter. You could have the Goblin 3-tier be like the current size. It could be on a 12 or 13 minute timer, which, by the way, all the timers feel way shorter now. I don't know how much they condense them, but raids feel fast.
Once upon a time, the dungeon was 18 minutes long, and I think it's like 12 now. So
Yeah.
by comparison, it feels
12.
way shorter.
But you can
I
do
also
that.
like the idea of longer dungeons. I think is good. I originally didn't like the idea of 3-layer. I was against it for a really long time. The last time they implemented it, I thought it was terrible. But this time it feels way better. And I think a big part of that is the Expressman.
Yep.
Because
Are you questing, Josh?
not really, to be honest. But like they happen a lot just by accident. But I almost exclusively do ruins, so it's tough to like. Like Goblins is still the unofficial arena map. That's PvP central. It probably always will be unless it gets a down layer, and even then, it probably would be. But I just think now there's so much gear to be had with such little risk in many respects that gear is cheaper on the auction house unless it's meta, and so that it makes PvP less bad when you die, right? Like you get the 225, you go like pick up some shit, you put it on the Expressman. It gives you a reason to run directly into red, which we've never had before. you just the minute red's open, I love to like rock it in there. And I'm like, take these 2 purple capes I found. It already paid for like my entire little shitty like off meta set. And now from here on out, it's all profit. And so, yeah, like I would have in the past not liked the longer dungeon, but Ruins feels good. And when we get 2 bosses there, you have. I know you said you want to rework crypts, but I actually feel like just by moving the treasure pile onto crypts,
It's
on
so
on
much
both
better.
maps,
Yep.
it's so much better. And like, there's so much to do. And there's always like I like the decision of it. I tell my chat a lot, depending on what class I'm playing and build, I don't want to go to maze because I don't want to be locked in a fucking corridor where I'm gonna get mollywopped by like a rogue or a barbarian. But like how many other people are thinking that? And like I've only had 1 PvP fight in there and I loot it all the time. So like
I've
I
never
like
had one in there yet.
I had one I had one with a fighter, I got my ass beat. But I don't like it's cool that, like that there's like all the sub bosses, there's like the royal coffins, there's quests, there's just like all this
Yeah.
shit to do. And I think they buffed the loot, right? Like each layer is independently full of loot. So like everything is good. And overall I think that just makes dying less hurty and that helps casuals. It helps everybody. Less hurty.
I 100% agree, and that was the design. I think the only complaint I have with the Expressman is the same complaint everybody else has, which is that if you're the last person down, you don't get to use it. Which
I think that's fair.
Probably
dude,
a pretty easy fix. No, it's stupid. What if you're the
I
only
don't
person
use-
there?
Yeah.
I don't
yeah.
like it.
Oh well, you don't get to use it, and then you're alone, and you get the free
Why?
dungeon next time.
Yeah, but you
The
can
free
have that
dungeon to
same
do
experience by
nothing.
being a rat.
Yeah.
But also the thing is, solos get punished for it more than duos or trios because
Yeah,
you
you
can
have no
game
control.
it because you can game it by just sending 1 person or 2 people down while the other person sits outside and waits until they get to use the Expressman. So
Sure.
it further punishes solo play, which I've said before that I wouldn't care if they got rid of solos now, especially with matchmaking Phil. But at the same time, if we're gonna have the system there and we're gonna have the queue, I think at the very least you should have like 15 seconds. Like you're really pressed for time, you're not going to be able to move as much stuff as you want to, especially because there's no like shortcut clicking like shift right click. But you're still at least getting something out of it, so that long dungeon experience doesn't feel as bad for you.
Imagine everybody's questing and goes to HR and nobody gets to use the Expressman.
What?
Everybody's questing to go down to Inferno and everybody's sitting at the gate. The gate opens. Nobody uses the Expressman because you all went in immediately upon it opening.
No,
and you don't even know if there's anybody else in the
every
lobby.
single player goes in at the same time.
Here you go. You think the people don't die? The ones that were not going to go down are fucking dead. The only ones going down are waiting at red.
The Expressman, we never used to have it. It's a net positive.
just
I'm fine
saying,
with it. I'm fine with it. You guys get 15
It needs
seconds.
to have
I
a
will
little
say
timer for it.
Solos might not be able to game the system, but you're alone, so you get all the goddamn loot.
But you're not killing a trio team and getting the extra loot. So
you're killing one person, your inventory is full of their shit, and either you leave or you carry it all the way down to the 3rd layer and sort through it in Inferno because you got fucked by the Expressman.
Play drums and go boss. It is the way. Here, kitty,
then you
kitty,
die and you
kitty.
lose it all. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people down in Solos Inferno. Like I would say at least 2 other players with me on every single run I've gone in HR. It is constantly filled with people down there.
Way, way better.
Yeah.
At the start of the season, it was nobody, and now it's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people now. Well, because everybody's now understands how to navigate the ruins, and they're not dying on the first floor. So you're seeing a lot.
And they're also not exploring. A lot of people explored and were going to boss or checking out modules
Dying
or
to
just
Spectral
generally
Knight.
learning the map.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I find solos to be way friendlier than any other mode. Because you can,
for sure.
Well, yeah, convincing
fucking
one
hard to boss
person.
solo.
Yeah, convincing one person is way easier than convincing 3. Yeah, I understand what you're saying on that one. I agree.
Well, especially because when you run into 3 people as a team, if they
one of them has a quest.
If they fake friendly and they get on top of you, the 3 people hit one person, it's just deletion.
Right. Yeah.
So like you're just way more hesitant to trust another party than you are to just trust a single person, especially when you can keep your space from each other. But I think it's now time to have the obligatory balance discussion because we haven't had that in quite a while. So let's talk balance. As is tradition.
Goodbye, Warlocks.
As is tradition, everyone is very upset about Warlocks. They're quite strong right now. I don't know that I think they're overpowered. I think Plate Lock and Demon Lock might be.
Under
Yeah, Demon
124,
Lock is
they're not.
absolute.
High gear Demon Lock is broken.
It's
But besides that, I think Warlock is mostly okay. I think
15
Wizard is
a lot. for the
I think
initial
Wizard is
damage.
really strong, but I don't think they're OP. I think they're just really good, and I think they're kind of where they should be. I think Fireball probably needs to get toned down just a little bit, especially because of overload. But I think Wizard's fine. Honestly, I think this is probably one of the best points we've ever been with balance.
I would agree.
I think some people might disagree, but the
Druid bear scaling has an issue still, but
yeah, well, Druid's a problem in and of itself, and I think the whole class needs a rework, to be completely honest with you. But that may be an
No.
unpopular take. Well, I mean, it breaks so many rules of the game, especially with Rat and jump through windows and shit. I don't know. It's just something I don't like.
That's a huge risk, though. People are starting to figure that out. Like in the arena, anytime a Druid goes Rat, he's getting Holy Strike. Like,
Yeah, but that's
or
arena.
Earthquaked,
That's
and-
arena, bro. He can't leave.
Sure.
There's
Yeah,
no
like,
doors
In the
with
real
windows
map,
there.
they're just gone.
Yeah.
Like if they want to
Sure.
be gone, they're literally unchaseable, and
Yeah,
it
and
makes for
I'm
a poor
okay
experience.
with a class that can get away from you. I'm not okay with a class that deletes your raid. Like if someone gets away from you, sorry you didn't get the kill. It didn't take your gear. It didn't ruin your raid. Most of the
Well,
time.
it takes
I know there are-
resources and time, and if you don't
It's
secure the
fair.
kill, they can
And you get
instantly
third
get
party.
away. You get third party. The Druid shows back
and they
up
can instantly
instantly.
come back. Yeah, like
I
I had a
there's
complaint. I had
Go
an HR lobby yesterday. We loaded in and we went to the next room, saw a bunch of green gear and blue weapons on the ground, picked up, looted by same name. So you know that these mothers came in with just an inventory filled with piss, dropped it to get the queue in, and we're directly in between me and my dual partner on the way to the boss. And we're like, hey guys, you're fucking naked, okay? I know you're naked because you just brought in that gear score requirement and dropped it. Let us go to the boss. For fuck's sake, are you? And they just completely ape into us. Now we drop them immediately after they're dead. In comes a druid warrior or druid fighter combo, fucking juiced up, and just ends us. Like the dynamic of them just being a nuisance is enough to get us completely fucked. Because if we had just gone past or ignored them or any other situation, would have been gone. The third party wouldn't have happened. Because they chose to fight us, now we got fucked by the bear druid. Now we got fucked by the fighter. It was just a situation that started off shitty and ended even shittier.
I feel like that was a bad anecdote.
That is
complain about
it was just
Druid.
yeah. There was
it was the
third party going
problem
on there.
necessarily
It was hard to
wasn't the
track.
druid is all. It just wasn't the idea of the druid. It was just it started with one shitty thing and then the druid came in to capitalize on it. And to be fair, whenever I fought a bear druid, if I'm not actively trying to kill them, they haven't been able to hit me unless I'm cornered. Like the bear overhead swipe, if you're even holding S, most 80% of the time I get out of it by holding S.
I have some advice for everybody that's watching. If you are somebody who goes into the Discord or into the Reddit and goes, this class is fucking stupid, Iron Mace is an idiot, why are you doing this stupid shit, fix this right now, nobody's listening to you. We don't care. But if you come in and you're like, hey, I've been playing for a while, I played Warlock, it feels a little oppressive to play against, I think this is a way you could address it, and like you have that conversation with peers and you hear their feedback and they go, oh well, that wouldn't work because of this, and then you go, oh okay, and then you actually think these things through and provide feedback. That stuff will get you listened to 100% of the time.
Cursive being
but
is
the-
absurdly strong right
but the-
now, I
The
think.
more you know.
the that people do where they just
Oh, yeah.
fucking diarrhea into the
Totally
nobody's
agree.
listening to you.
Yep.
When I go on, like I told you, I manage the socials, Twitter specifically, the one I am on the most for our accounts. When I open up, I can open Twitter right now and find two different tweets of two different people saying Wizard's fucking awful, the class sucks, it's unplayable, bullshit, garbage, terrible, Iron Mace is stupid. And then right underneath that, I will see a tweet that says Wizard is fucking broken, disgusting, brain dead, bullshit, kill yourself. It's like,
Well, to be fair, there is probably two different games being played. One where it's Wizard and, under 25 gear score
Right.
brackets, and then the other guy's doing
Yeah.
10 spell meta and just absolutely rolling HR. Like, that's the other thing is that we don't know exactly which bracket they're queuing in, the gear score differentials, what HR norms. It's a very different player experience.
right. And that's exactly
But I
what
get that's the point. Yes.
That's the point I'm trying to get across, is that when your limited scope of the experience of the game is driving your decision making and your feedback, you're not being helpful and you're not being reasonable. And I know
that's
this
just
is me
the
ranting
internet.
just a little bit. Well, yeah, I know that's just
No,
gamers
that's
in
fair.
general. But it's like it's just the game's balance will never be perfect because that's an RPG and it has gear, and that's just the nature of the beast.
And it's
There-
situational.
A bunch
It's
of builds.
so
That's
situational.
so situational. I say that all the
Right.
time.
Yep.
And there's also no such thing as a balanced game. There are games that are more balanced than others, but there is no such thing as a perfectly balanced game, and there never
you ever
will
played
be.
rock paper scissors, bitch? I'll get you right now. Talk to me about balance. But no,
You want
I
a
agree
balanced
that-
game? Play coin flip.
Yeah, like there's no idea. Even chess is imbalanced, bro. You kidding me?
Yeah,
But the idea of it, like, damn chill. No, the back and forth of what classes beat what classes, and what everybody hates this class for this wipe. It isn't a good state, but I will definitely say the Curse of Pain damage is exceptionally high, and it's such a weird mechanic in how it functions and dealing the damage. And now I'm a cleric, so I take extra damage, and the way the debuff resistance works, I don't know. It needs a tuning pass to make it both not feel like shit to get hit by and also not feel like shit to hit. And it's in this weird state. It's too much. It's too much on the damage scale, I think. And it either needs to be a longer dot with like the initial damage nerfed down, or they got to do something with how I think Warlock functions in a PvP environment.
I think Warlock needs more spell options with to complement curses if we're gonna like change the damage design.
Because you could do like the Warlock curses deal more damage based on the number of curses active, so that way you have to put like power. So you have to put two, if you put your 2 curses on and then hit them with Curse of Pain, you get a bigger initial burst. Make Curse of Pain's initial burst damage based on how many debuffs the target has, etc. There's ways to ramp into Warlock's damage without just being like, I pushed one button.
Well, I also hate that power sacrifice is something that you can put on yourself and fuck yourself over. I've never understood why that was a design.
It does.
It does, but it's like it's just one of those things where like if you miss it, it just feels bad when you're trying to hit somebody else.
Because you're trying to use it on somebody else.
I like that, dude. It's one of those things.
I do agree with it. Don't use it in PvP.
Don't fucking use it in PvP, especially when you're low. I kill myself all the time with pos. I'm like, I shouldn't have pos there. I should have copped there. Or not used.
Yeah, but
that was like a Warlock skill cap thing.
That's my point. Is that it's the only class that has a problem like that. You don't have that issue with any other class.
I mean, if I miss a heal, I've missed a heal. So
especially
it's like the punishment
enemy.
is like it's the punishment of using the spell and having something go wrong in the casting. Like my skill issue would
point blank, I should have used an ice bolt. Like I think a lot of classes have that.
If I sanctuary and somebody runs in it, there's a punishment factor to all of my spells too.
Well, like what I'm about to say is if pos did more damage to the opponent, I think it'd be fine. But it does really damage.
It's and it's mostly for the life leech effect of it.
Right.
Is this Thursday likely to be a balancing pass? Because I know originally they wanted to do it sooner. And also, typically we have the HR leaderboard season release 2 weeks into the wipe. Is as far as you know, with like internal discussion or just like, are we still on par for like a normative wipe, or have things been sort of pushed back due to the legalities of the court case in the arena, or are things like still looking pretty good?
There are things that even I don't know, but it's mostly just because the team's Korean, so there are just discussions that like Soma and I don't really involve ourselves in, unless we need to know about them for specific marketing reasons. As far as I know, we're still on track with everything the way we expected. I think Arena got pushed out. Originally they said it was going to be Arena came out early. Originally Arena was going to be coming later in the season, and I think because that happened, there's a chance that it may delay some other things. But as far as I know, everything's still on track. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because again, I can go pull up tickets and go look at some stuff and see where we're at with certain things, but a lot of it's in Korean, and when I first joined the company, I was like, "Oh, I'm in Iron Base, dude. I get to go see everything that's going on in here. I get to pull up all the documents, read all the cool shit, see what everybody's talking about. What are we working on?" Nowadays, I'm just like, I like to be surprised by stuff that we're working on. I have discussions with SDF and with Grayson and with other, part of our community team to talk about specific things, and we talk about the game balance and design ideas. But there are plenty of things where like there could be some balance stuff coming this week. I have no idea about it. And I'm being dead serious. I'm not even trying to hide anything. I just have no idea.
I'm just stuck on it. The more I think about the idea of Warlock's Curse of Pain dealing more damage based on debuffs rather than just like outright smacking you in the face, it makes me even more excited. Like
Yeah.
Warlock's casting more than one spell. I know it's terrifying to all of the Warlock players out there, but
Your hit
that
scan
seriously blew my mind.
Fucking sniper rifle.
Yeah, like everyone was like, Warlocks are unplayable. I can't just use one button. I'm like, holy fuck, are you actually real? But I understand it is like a lot of the gameplay style and the life leech and everything. But man, to hear that unironically spoken, it's fucking
Curse
great.
of Pain hurt real bad, but so does
Yeah.
every other class in this game.
Yep.
If I open a door and I get a headshot by a crossbow or a longbow, I'm like, I don't know where 60% of my health just went. And now cop is like, okay, I probably, if I get copped, I lose like 30 to 40% over its lifespan. But like, if I get hit by a fireball, I'm fucked, bro. Like one fireball, if it hits me in the head, I think no matter what class you are, you're probably almost dead.
I keep hearing people complaining about like Rogue being weak right now.
Yes.
In arenas, Rogue was dog shit.
But
like,
thank
I thought Rogue was
God, can
terrible.
we just
in arena.
all like take 1 second of silence?
Rogue is not weak.
Be happy
It's
that
not.
Rogue is not.
No.
It's
what it
not
used to be,
weak.
though. I never see landmines anymore. It's so
It's
fucking
not
nice.
weak.
And that's really
Yeah.
nice.
So nice.
But the thing that drives me nuts is that Rogue is I feel like Rogue is doing now what it was supposed to do, which is that if it gets
killing wizards.
if they get on top
And
of
warlocks.
you, they fuck you up
Mhm.
so
Yes.
fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is
But
what
they can't just
should do.
W key at you and beat you anymore,
Right.
which is exactly how it's
And
supposed to
that's
work.
Super punishable, yes.
And like people complain, oh, like I'm a rogue, I just get shit on by range damage. It's like, okay, yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. You're supposed
Yeah,
to
I
work.
died to wizards as a cleric. Barbarians shit on rogues, and rogues shit on casters. This is the circle of
the
death.
cycle of life.
This is how things
Yeah.
work.
Blind
like-
our preserve.
Yeah.
It's like
Speaking
when
of
I used to come to
Blythar-
my chat.
Speaking
Real
of
quick.
Blythar,
No,
Mhm.
hold on. I do want to talk about religion. We've already been going for an hour and a half, and we haven't talked religion. We haven't talked the new boss. But real quick on Rogue, I totally agree. Rogue feels pretty appropriate right now. But the one thing that probably does still need tweaked a little bit is the fact that you can go invis and then get your what is the striking ability you get when you come out
Ambush?
of invis?
ambush
Ambush,
Shadowrunner.
thank you. Yes. There needs to be something that says you have to be in Viz for at least 1.5, 2 seconds before you get that bonus, or have it scale with the amount of time that you were in Viz when you come out. So ambush scales with the amount of time you were invisible or stealthed. Like,
Yeah.
that part of their kit is still really, really dumb. The rest of them feels appropriate for the archetype and gameplay of the class. I actually did get killed because someone played like perfect rogue. I wasn't even mad. I was mad that I died, but it was a sub 25 raid, being friendly with other guys, walk through a room, say hi to a guy, walk into the next room, and the raid had just started. So I couldn't even believe when it happened. I turned around and a rogue was in my face, stabbed me 3 times, and basically killed me before I could swing a second time at him. And it was like, you know what? He played that perfectly. He followed me in from a previous room, stayed in the shadows, didn't even activate his stealth until he got into my room, somehow snuck past this other guy, completely caught me off guard, and killed me, and he deserved it. The only thing that I don't like is really in the arena, I think they're okay. I was watching Jay clean people up in there. It is Jay, but I did see plenty of rogues in arena that were doing way better than I thought they were going to do. But overall, one thing to change, just get the scaling for ambush to match the amount of time that they're stealthed, and I think rogue's good.
I've been calling that since like our first podcast, is like when ambush was 50%, that they needed to balance it around the class fantasy of actually stalking your opponent and give it a stacking buff. All right, keep it at 50%, but give you 10% damage for each second that you are invisible.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, is to give them a ramping bonus for actually applying it.
Yep.
It's same with the move speed, make it even more move speed. I don't care, but give them the opportunity to like utilize stealth properly as that class. But I'm not a rogue player. I just feel like it is something that it feels better for us, but I know that rogue players will hate it and
Just
complain.
get rid of ambush. And
Yeah, that's true too.
And make the perk backstab plus Shadowrunner. Now you can't just run at someone and press back and press stealth to get ambush, because it only applies to backstabs. And backstabs get 30% more damage. So if you are actually stealthing behind somebody, you just automatically get that extra damage. And it still works outside of stealth too. Simple fix. Because you're still getting the class fantasy of stalking somebody. You don't get to just press a button to get a speed boost and a big damage chunk on your next hit when you run up to somebody. But you get a big bonus for being behind people, which is what the rogue wants to do anyway. You don't want to be going toe to toe with people unless it's a wizard or like a cloth warlock or a cloth cleric or a ranger. You want it if it's like somebody hit on the tankier side. You want to be hitting them from behind and then dipping away when they turn their attention to you, unless you can murder them in 2 seconds because you have 25% base armor pen and then like another 30% for perks and gear.
All right, religions. Yeah,
religion or boss, religion or boss. Tell me.
The only religion that exists, Blythar. Yes.
Yep, correct.
Yep.
Yeah. So originally they were just going to make everything look, but then they wanted to give they wanted to give like some variety. But I think the other religions need to be buffed. But the unfortunate thing is that now you're locked into whatever religion you chose for the season. So if they do buff the other ones and they do become better, then it feels really bad because now you've chosen the luck when you could have gotten like, let's say, if Solaris gave you 2% PDR, that would be a way better choice all of a sudden than 0.7% PDR. Especially if you're playing like a tankier class.
Yeah, I don't feel like religion was put together with the idea. I'm not sure what the end goal really was, like between making additional factions and battles and stuff and like giving buffs to characters.
The early version.
I know. It's an experiment.
It's RP. I liked the idea of having cosmetics attached to them, even if they're only visible.
That's what I'm
by
hoping
stealth.
for.
Like the stash, like when your stash tab was full of Blithering emotes.
They talked about they're going to do sashes that you can wear over your shoulder. They mentioned something.
In-game cosmetics would be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be like a sash that goes over your chest. And they
make
mentioned
it a luck item.
They mentioned it being not tied to your religion. I don't like that idea. Because like, yeah, there's the fun where you're like deceiving people, but at the same time, it takes away from that. Like you see somebody and you recognize that they are the enemy of religion, and you're like, I will kill that man on sight because he's a Noxulon believer, and we don't fuck with those guys.
But Noxulon is the deceiving shadows. Let them wear the Blithering emblem and then kill me in my fucking back. Classic Noxulonians.
I mean,
it's like everybody already complains about teaming enough, man.
You can still kill people in your own religion. There's just no benefit for it.
Right.
But
overall, religions is a good change. It's something cool.
It's a free system.
Everyone's always talking about Blithering and luck, and anybody who doesn't have it, it feels bad. Sucks.
It's 65 luck, dude.
It's so much luck, dude.
That's
so goddamn hard.
It's 2 pieces of gear
and
a perk.
Shit.
Yeah.
Odin,
I'm up to like 480 on my luck set. I'm just like, what?
Dude, you must be getting fucking legendaries constantly.
I got three gold keys today, and the 5 bosses I killed in cribs.
God damn.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Have they kicked around the idea of, at least short term, because of the way things have panned out so far with religion, of rotating the benefit?
Yeah.
So that weekly you could just like, Blythar is still going to be maxed, right? They're at whatever, is it 20, whatever the donation offering max level is it 20, 30? I can't remember what it is. Or if it just gradually scales and continues to scale. There was a timer on it. Like there's still so much I don't understand.
The timer reset like 3 hours ago, and
now you have to buy the blessings again, right?
You have to
it does not.
0?
Oh, it doesn't reset?
It doesn't look like it. The blessing is the same.
I thought it would reset back to level 1 each week.
Yeah, I have the game pulled up right now.
Contribute gold to get the blessing back is what I thought it was. So it's just a weekly leaderboard, but like there's no reason to buy them anymore.
Oh, the other blessings are not full. I don't know if the other blessings were full to begin with. I never checked at them. Okay, then they have
it. So it just resets the weekly leaderboard, but not the blessing level.
Yeah, Solaris and Noxulon are 18, almost 19, and Zoran is only 16, barely, or like a quarter of the way to 3/4 of the way to 17.
People contributed like 1 million gold to Blithering.
Yeah,
way up there.
Yeah, so that may be the best thing about it so far is we can clearly see who the RMT leaders are in the game.
Yeah, 1 million gold, by the way. 1 million fucking gold.
That guy donated.
It's like 8 SK.
I'm sure Iron Mace has got an eye on that one. You know?
Wraths.
I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure if you spend that much money on religion, holy fuck, do you have that much more to go? Like, that man probably put less than 1%.
1 week.
No. To
Think about
atone
it.
for
We've been
his
out
sins
2
over the
weeks.
last few
2 weeks.
seasons, he became a pauper. All right, he gave everything he had.
I just want to
for
see.
the church.
I want to wonder. Like, I know Iron Mace personally was like, "Oh fuck, let's take a look at this guy." You know,
Right.
like it's one of those like if you were to look at the leaderboards and see 10 people at 5,000 points and one guy at 750 fucking K, as a developer, I would go, I'm going to need to look into this one. So I can imagine, like, I think it's just funny to be like, wow, where the fuck did this guy get all of his money?
Yeah,
Oh,
what's today's date? All right, it is
Wu
September
Wu Zhao's
15th.
hand.
We wiped on September 6th, right? Wipe is scheduled.
And
for
yeah, and this
6th.
was
Yeah.
done on Friday.
So we are 9 days into the wipe, and the dude donated 2 different people. So there's the guy for Blythar, and then there's a Solaris guy, I think, that did 1.1
I think there was the same name. It was the KOOK guy, the Kuka or whatever.
I thought it was 2 different people, but maybe they're similar enough that it could be.
How do
But,
you
yeah.
even have storage for 1 million gold?
You don't.
He moved it from character to like he did this and then moved it over. Like he spent holy fuck, the more I think about it, it hurts.
It's insane.
He had to have been doing a dupe.
There has to be some way, just
or
infinite gold.
chests. Like he had.
Maybe he's a
so
streamer
much-
and his chats are giving him gold to get. To
I
the
was
top of the
saying that.
religion.
I said that in
was
the
there
entire
even a
category.
million gold in the
Yeah.
fucking game at this point?
Right.
Like, how is that even
Right.
possible?
I was saying if me and if we all
But the
grabbed our chats
power
and
of
said to
Brethren.
donate to one person, I don't think we would get that much fucking gold
I
out
don't
of
think
like milking the drops of chat.
I don't think you'd break 500K.
No,
I don't
that's
think you'd
just
break
insane.
500K.
Yeah.
I think if every person I looked at in the streamer category right now that has Dark and Darker open with like 10,000 viewers combined did it, then maybe there would be 1 million gold. But it's like one person managing to get 1 million gold together. Even with RMT, I don't know if that's possible. Like there had to
Yeah.
have been some kind of dupe going on. I don't know, or he found some kind of trick that allowed him to donate the gold without it actually donating. So he just kept doing it
Yeah.
over and over again.
Like I said, I know that guy has invoked the Eye of Sauron from Iron Maze. Like, maybe we should look at this man, find out what's happening here. But I thought that was
Alright,
absolutely
boys.
insanity. But yeah, also new boss. Are we done with religion?
Goddamn dungeons are calling to me. All right, it's been over an hour and a half. I must play the game. My dopamine.
I would
Josh
like to
has
get
hit
back
his
in there
limit.
myself. I also
I
would
must.
like to get in
I
there
must
myself.
practice on Cleric so I can beat
Alright.
end boss on the leaderboard.
He's
on
never going to
Thursday.
beat me.
It's not that hard.
We'll
It's not gonna be
we'll cut short the religion conversation. We didn't get to a lot. There were still a lot of other things we really didn't
Yeah,
get
the new
into. All the
boss.
minor artifacts, the new boss. Absolutely want to talk more about that. Yeah, just a lot of good stuff to chat about, and hopefully we'll get Ken back.
Sweet.
And yeah, we'll have more to talk about next week.
It'll be
or
the end of
following-
TwitchCon. Yeah.
TwitchCon next weekend. Yeah, I'll see Alex, Odin, and Josh. Hey, HTL Hangout. Maybe we'll do a quick live while we're there. See
Maybe a
lot
little
of the good
lunch.
People.
Yeah, that sounds maybe. some
I
pictures.
will be
Badass.
getting there at the butt crack of dawn because my flight got booked for very early in the morning. So I'm going to be in San Diego at 8 a.m.
On
I don't
Friday
really
or
have-
Thursday.
on Friday.
Oh.
I'll be in at noon.
Also, it's the partner party on Thursday, so
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Probably
it's
some
Thursday
drinking
partner
going
party,
on. Yeah.
and then there's the Blur. There's another party after that, and then there's
Does
a
TwitchCon start on Thursday? I thought it started on Friday.
the partner
No,
party
it's the
is
partner
Thursday.
party's on Thursday. Yeah,
Twitch partners.
it's the day before.
Mhm.
I've never been to it.
I'm not a
Me
Twitch partner,
either.
so-
Oh yes, it's
Ah.
gonna be great, brother Alex.
It's going. Matt Naz is going to be there. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
All
Been a
right.
pleasure.
Pleasure as always.
As always, gentlemen.
And boss, stay out of my
Godspeed.
goddamn crypts.
I can't wait to club you
I'll
like a
be in
baby
there
fucking
tonight.
seal.
I'm going to be in there tonight. I'm going to be
Stupid cleric.
terrorizing
You
everybody
stupid
with
cleric.
fucking plate lock.
All
love
right,
it.
boys.
Till it gets
All right.
nerfed.
Till
right,
next
everybody.
week.
All right. Later, gents.
All right. try
Take
to,
care.